Hello and welcome back to the NUFC opinion blog for the return of the Thursday Team Talk podcast. Once again, joined by Ben. Ben, how are you today?
Good, thanks, Daniel. Happy to be back once again.
Weather's been lovely today, I must
It has
say.
I.
But even with the weather being nice, we still persevere for you, our viewers, and we still record these shows. But to be fair, I love doing it, so we crack on. Anyway, so fixture wise, we're going to have a look at 4 games, all of which just happen to be on Easter Sunday. So as per usual, we'll start, even if it's not chronologically in time order, the first one, we'll start with the Newcastle fixture, which is at 2:05, which is Newcastle at home to Tottenham at St James's Park. Tottenham, I think in normal times, considering Tottenham's sort of issues that they've been having at the moment, normally you'd probably look at this fixture and think it's probably a good time to play Tottenham.
Definitely, aye.
But at the same time, it's also a very good time to play Newcastle for any team in the league.
I think so. I mean,
right, go on.
No, I mean, we talked about this on in a monthly review, didn't we? We said it looks a bit of a tricky one where we're going to pick up our next result from. For all you might say, well, it's a good time to play Tottenham. They have won 4 of the past 5. Burnley, Fulham, Palace wins, like teams around us that have beaten quite comfortably. Obviously, they lost to Arsenal, but the teams that are in similar positions to us that have done the job against them, and you could argue Fulham, especially teams that are playing better football than us at the minute. So I kind of lie, I'm not too hopeful for this one, I must admit.
No, I mean, we've just been looking at some stats before we came and recorded this. And I think, Ben, you've got an interesting one about Newcastle, the Newcastle Tottenham fixture. Am I right in saying?
Aye, well, in the head-to-head, they've played 51, had 22 wins each. Of course, I would argue in the last sort of 10, 15 years, Tottenham have been the bigger side of the two of us. We've kind of, as I'm sure people will be aware, we've kind of slipped off a bit. But
we've always had a decent record against Tottenham, especially away.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit of a bogey team for Tottenham. Like, there's been some notable results in the past few years which are a bit surprising. I mean, the 1-1 we had at the start of the season was a very surprising result. We didn't deserve anything, I don't think.
No, not at all. We played awfully that game. We got a jammy penalty in the 94th minute, which Callum Wilson dispatched very, very well. But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of negativity in sort of the things we've said about Newcastle lately, and for good reason, because it has been terrible. But as I say, Tottenham, they're not maybe as good as they were under Pochettino, but I still think they've got enough to beat us. Obviously, we mentioned Harry Kane before we came on here tonight. Heung-min Son obviously has been injured lately, but there are rumours that he might return. I think if them two are together, it could already be curtains, because you just know how well them two link up.
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of whether Son's in the team or not, Harry Kane is
a threat. He's always a threat.
Is a player that any team, no matter how big or small you are, should be fearing, really. For all in the national break, for all Albania on the bigger side, that he took his chance really well. That was a lovely finish for the header, wasn't it? So he's a player that can make something out of nothing. Cousin mentioned Son as well. Whether he's going to be fit or not is a bit of a lottery, but we'll see. Bale as well. A few weeks back he was looking like a real player again, but since then he sort of dropped off, and I think he's pretty much confirmed he's going back to Real Madrid in the summer. So, whether he's going to be a threat, I'm not too sure. But Son and Bale, as we all know, are definitely Tottenham's two main men, aren't they?
Very much so. And obviously, from a Newcastle perspective, we could have our front three back. We're not entirely sure. Certainly, Almiron will be available. And Wilson and St-Maximin are both in training. Whether they are both ready enough to start a game yet remains to be seen. But I think we'll have at least, I'd say, probably at a guess, I'd say at least 2 of them will be in the squad at least.
I mean, I'd like to see all 3 back. Maybe the international break will work in our favour. Maybe that extra bit of time might do us good. And I think the team needs a response after the Brighton game. Like that was such a horrible way to end the period, and we need a bit of fight back. And was if the front three come back, that could be the key we need. But if they aren't fit, as I've said, we need to change things up. We can't play the formation, the style of play we are without those front three, and because the style's tailored to their, the way they play.
Very much so, yeah. That's why it just hasn't worked when they've not been, because we've maintained this formation that is suited to them three, but then try to fit other players into it. It's like putting square pegs in round holes.
That's it, exactly. And the square pegs haven't been good enough. I would argue,
no, they haven't. I mean, it's just the lack of ability to change formation. Because to be honest, as much as those players who have been put into this formation maybe they're not as good. They could probably do more of a job if they were played in a different formation that would more suit them. Like, you can't expect some players who are better at playing one way to suddenly be put into a formation that doesn't suit them because it's the way we apparently play that suits our better players. It just doesn't. You've got to be able to change and adapt, which we haven't done, which is why we've gone into these games and we've been awful essentially.
I mean, I think that's the point you make. Is you look at Fraser, like from what I've seen, Bruce is sort of trying to play him in the St. Maximin role, like wide forward, if you like, but he's a winger. Like, you've got to play, as you say, players in their right positions to get the most out of them. And if I'm not mistaken, Fraser played for Scotland the other night as a winger and did very well. So it shows you that the ability's there, as we know, but he's not been put in his right position.
Admittedly, he's not had a brilliant season, Ryan Fraser, but I think he could be better if he was played in there.
I don't think you can judge a player who's not being played in the right position.
Very true. Correct.
As we know, Bruce isn't the best tactically, so how can you say Fraser has had a, how can you judge his season if he's not playing?
You make a very good point. It's a very, very good point. But looking at this game, I just think if we get a point out of it, we'll be lucky.
I think I would take any result.
I'd take a point, to be honest. I know it's not what we need right now, but I would take it just because I think getting another loss, just for confidence-wise.
I mean, as well, obviously, if we do pick up that extra point, it does put us 3 points ahead of Fulham. If they don't
get that game in hand as well, of course.
Exactly, that's it, and that could, you want to sort of, if possible, you want to get kind of a 4 point buffer. Give it. Yeah, so they need 2 results. Really,
it's either a win and a draw, or 2 wins essentially to suddenly.
That's it. They need 2 results, don't they? So
exactly, yeah. Moving on to Southampton Burnley, which is the early kickoff on Sunday. It's 12 p.m. Both of these teams have probably pulled away a little bit from the relegation fight, but we're going to talk about this one just briefly because, of course, we play Burnley after Tottenham, so we just thought we'd stick it in there quickly. Southampton have had a bit of an up and down season. They had some good results in the first half of the season, but then had another sort of dip in performance. Of course, they had another 9-0 loss as they did last season. Burnley always seem to pluck results out of somewhere and alleviate themselves from, as we've said, from this relegation fight. So, to be honest, I can't see that being it being a brilliant game from a purist point of view. But I could probably see a draw coming from that, or to be honest, I could probably see any result coming from that. But it wouldn't surprise me because both teams are average and couldn't just nick it or draw. I know that's probably, I've gone very much the long way around to try and explain that, but
I mean,
it's not going to be a spectacle. Let's put it that way.
No, definitely not. I mean, Southampton 4 defeats in the past 5, and Burnley, 3 games unbeaten, draws against Arsenal and Leicester, and a win over Everton. So, I would say Burnley are on the better form. I would fancy Burnley just to nick it, but
yeah,
I think they're 2 sides who, although Southampton have sort of gone down and Burnley up a bit, there are 2 sides which I think are safe. And Burnley have sort of shown what we need to, which is getting results.
Just grind results out. Yeah.
And the thing with Burnley is they're so plucky. It's so annoying. They're so jammy. Like without trying to put any disrespect on the name, the football they play is not. No,
it's not brilliant.
Nice to watch. But they get the results.
But that's the thing. I think I think Sean Dyche, obviously, like, he's getting the best out of the players that he's got.
Definitely, I would.
I think obviously they probably are limited in the way in which they can play because of the, what they have there. But he's using what they've got in such a style that it works and it just grinds results out. Now it's not attractive, yes, but
it gets points, and that's what you need when you're down the road.
No, spot on. As I say, we're only going to keep that one brief because, as I say, those teams are probably a little bit away from the relegation fight. Well, then we'll move on now to Villa, Fulham, and probably the most prevalent side in this relegation fight at the moment, alongside Newcastle, which is Fulham. Villa have had a good season. Of course, we played them quite recently. Unlucky to not actually get 3 points in that game, Newcastle for once. Fulham in their last game against Leeds at home weren't brilliant.
No, I think on both teams. I'll start with Villa personally. Another team that sort of started big and went downhill. Grealish again, I'd argue was probably
they've missed him terribly.
But as far as I'm aware, I believe it looks as if he's going to be back, or at least in the squad for this game, and that could be crucial. That could do us such a big favour.
I'd like to think that Aston Villa could get a result against Fulham.
I'd like to think so. I mean, Fulham, of course, coming off the back of 2 defeats, as you mentioned, to Leeds, that wasn't the kind of result that, but Leeds are a tricky side,
exactly. You can't really predict Leeds because they're either brilliant or they're awful. But on that occasion, it was actually quite a low-scoring match for Leeds. But
it was. I mean, yeah,
they were the better side than Fulham comfortably and got the result.
But then at the same time, Fulham, City, Liverpool, and Tottenham, they have had a very tough run of late.
They have, and of course they got a result against Liverpool, and very well done to them on that, because Liverpool, it's the champions. I know exactly. Liverpool have had a bit of a rot of late, but you've still got to go there and do the business, and it's
exactly that's it.
Something which I couldn't see Newcastle doing.
No, not at all. I mean, it has.
But we've still got to come, of course. We've still got to go to Anfield in the next month as well.
I mean, I probably sound like a broken record player, but Fulham are a team that look like they want to stay up. And that's, I think, why they're getting results. They're making results like the 1-0 against Liverpool, against teams you don't expect them to beat.
Yeah.
Us. I don't know. I fought against Tottenham for all, as we say, it was sometimes, maybe give Tottenham a run for the money. Yeah. I just can't say this time around.
Honestly, I'd like to think Villa would get a result against Fulham, but the thing is, I think what's annoying as well, because it's still in our hands. If we pick up, because we're ahead of Fulham, if we pick up results, regardless of what they do, we'll stay ahead of them.
I mean, it is like Newcastle never fails to surprise.
Correct. Never a true word was spoken.
No Newcastle. They'll go out and get a 2-0 win against Tottenham. Joe Linton will score a brace or something, and they'll all be happy as Larry this time.
You can just imagine. Joe Linton's. It's not his fault how much he cost, and it's not his fault that he was given the number 9 shirt, but he's just not good enough.
The time's gone on. Funny enough, with Tottenham, I know we're going on a bit of a tangent here, but we'll get back to things in a minute. When he last season, what was it? It was like 3rd game or something. He scored in the 1-1 draw with Tottenham.
That was a 1-0
win against Tottenham.
It was, yeah.
I'm mistaken. And it was a good finish, and we thought, well, maybe
we thought exactly all right. Because in the first game against Arsenal, he didn't really get too much of a look, and he had a couple of okay moments on the ball, if I remember rightly. Against Norwich away, obviously, which was a bad performance, and we got beat 3-1. He missed a sitter, I think, at 0-0. A good header, which he should have at least hit the target with. So we thought, all right, okay, maybe it's just a bit of lack of confidence. But when he gets one, he'll kick on, and of course, he got his goal against Tottenham, and he took it very well. Fair play to him, but he then didn't score to the Premier League goal until Project Restart.
I mean, it shows the reliance we've got on Wilson and why we need him fit and why hopefully he'll be fit. But at the same time, we can't risk him. We can't risk him at all. Like, if he's not fully fit, can't start him, in my opinion, because if he picks up another injury, then same caliber.
It may as well just be curtains as far as I
might as well just say we want to be relegated. To be honest with you, I'll be truthful.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Finally, moving on to our last game we're going to have a look at, which is Man United Brighton. Now, of course, Brighton absolutely played us off the park in our last fixture, but Man United have a bit of a mixed bag at home. They don't always get them to, but you'd think that they'd be able to beat Brighton. You'd think, and you'd hope so.
Well, the thing with Man United is they've had 2 good results, and West Ham, a good side, they beat 1-0 at home. Of course, City, the 2-0 win away was
very impressive. Very much,
very impressive, as you say. So I think you'd like to think Man United have enough to get over the line. With regards to Brighton, as we've said, they do play good football, but they don't always put the ball in the back of the net. But
I mean, well, they did against us.
I think that they will be high on confidence that have turned results around. Like the past 2 games, 2 wins. 5 scored and only 1 conceded. So they probably will be in good spirits. But once again, I think Man United do have that quality, especially if they've got the top players fit. Your Fernandes. Of course, he's someone who any team would take. I can imagine, but.
Yeah, you'd think so. You'd think that they'd get a result. I mean, of course, in the reverse fixture, that was the famous, bizarre scenes that it was Man United scored after the final whistle.
That was a crazy game on a 3-2 United.
Yeah.
It was a pretty crazy game, wasn't it? And
because Brighton hit the woodwork a good few times, if I remember rightly. I think Trossard hit it a couple of times, and then it was level and the full-time whistle went, but then they restarted the game and give Man United a penalty, which of course Bruno Fernandes dispatched, giving them a 3-2 victory. Now, as much as I have a soft spot for Brighton with my mate Charlie.
Of course, But then,
sorry to say this, Charlie, if that happens again, I wouldn't mind.
I mean, at the same time, Brighton scored in the 5th minute of stoppage time, didn't they? And then I think it was about 10 minutes or something by the stoppage time when United scored. I mean, as obviously we've got interest in the game, but as a neutral, I would quite like to see a game like that, as long as Man United win. Again, sorry, Charlie, if you're watching.
Sorry, Charlie. We're sorry, but club loyalty has to come in here.
Exactly.
We like you.
He's got the bragging rights after last week.
Well,
so,
from all season, 2-3 wins. As far as I'm concerned, he's had that, and
that's enough. We need something in return, though. So, if you want Charlie, have a word with it. Have a word with
tell him
Graham Potter and see what you can do.
You're nearly safe now. Just make just lose.
That's it. Please.
Anyway, that's things. Oh, no. Before we go on, before I do some things up, go on.
No, sorry to interrupt there, but it does show how desperate we're getting. To bring things back down to the ground. For all we can laugh and joke, and say, it was great. It does show how desperate we are for a result and for other teams to give us a helping hand as well. But I think Brighton now are probably just about safe, I would say.
I think they need maybe one more result.
Probably. But I think they've got much more quality than us. I think that's.
They probably need about one more result just to be certain.
But they're creating enough chances, so they'll eventually.
They'll get Brighton will be fine. They'll be okay, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, as I was going to say, that does sum things up for this podcast. Ben, thank you very much for joining me again.
Thank you again, Daniel. Nice to see you again.
And we'll see you again next time on the Thursday Team Talk podcast. So thank you all very much for watching, and how are the lads?